Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. That's my email. It is still in the description below. Reach out to me. It is your pricing question line. For an inquiry about this or any watch you see on any of our platforms, email me for pricing. I remain Tim at thewatchbox.com, Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing the Panerai Luminor Submersible 1950 Days Power Reserve PAM 507 Bronzo. This was the second of the Bronzo series. This launched in 2013 and made in 1,000 pieces. This was back when the Bronzos were still limited editions, and the first ones were the best ones. It is a big machine. The 1950 case here, 47 millimeters in diameter. I measure it 18.1 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 56.5 millimeters with a 26 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw this on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist and get a sense at how it fits. The answer is monstrously. Now it's sitting secure and it would stay put, and I'll let you decide whether this actually fits me. If your wrist is my size, 16 centimeters, and you think this looks like a great fit, then I would say go ahead with it. It's not going to move around, it's quite secure, it's planted. That said, I think a wrist of 17 centimeters circumference as a bare minimum would probably be a better aesthetic match. Remember, Panerai watches are supposed to look big. I'm going to leave it up to you to decide whether they're supposed to look huge. Now it is thick, there's no getting around that. It's not going to slide underneath a dress cuff, and it might even get hung up on a sports jacket, but I have seen it done with a big man, a big wrist, and a big cuff. Taking a look at the strap, you can see it's got this little ecru sort of fauxtina that, more than matching the lume on the dial, matches the color of the case, which is bronze. The Bronzo of 2011 was really patient zero for the bronze watch craze, and Panerai continues to do it best in this 2013 edition with a combination of nautical bronze, harking back to Panerai's maritime heritage, but also the olive green dial harking back to its military heritage, as from the 1930s, Panerai watches were used by pioneering amphibious tactical forces in the Italian Navy. But this is very much a luxury watch, which is why the quality of this watch is far better than anything fascist frogmen would have used in the 30s and 40s. Now, you've got the element that makes this a Luminor. In the modern era, Luminor is not a dial paint. Luminor is a case shape and a crown guard. That is the device protecting the crown. Envisioned by Panerai engineers in the 40s and implemented in the 50s, it is a solution to a few problems caused by the Rolex-made screw-down crowns. As the original 3646 Panerai watches were made by Rolex with oyster cases, you had to screw the crown in every day and screw it out every day because they were manual wind watches with Rolex Codebert pocket watch calibers. And so threading it in day after day and threading it out and setting it and winding it was wearing down the crown seals. So they needed a solution that would allow the seals to be compressed and decompressed without threading through them. So this compression cam was the solution. And if you look inside, you can see that there's a little runner bearing inside the cam. That's been the case since 2007. It's called the runner, and it makes this system smoother than it was prior to that year. You can also see it's a crescent-shaped crown guard, so even if you have a shouldered crown guard system like on a Seamaster or a Submariner, a direct perpendicular knock to the crown can still do damage, whereas here you have all aspect protection. It's also hard to drown your watch accidentally. Back out a screw down crown 1 or 2 turns, you can't see it, but leave this thing open and it's like a red flag. Finally, it's much easier to open and close this than it is to thread a screw down crown in or out when your hands might be wet, sweaty, or gloved. This, in comparison, is a lot easier to use. And again, the most iconic crown in the business. The bezel, super chunky, 60 click, but those individual clicks are worth your while as the tent feels super premium. Plenty of lume. Let's take a look. Panerai goes out of its way here to give you an enormous bezel pearl, which you can read as a timing reference against the minute hand. I always prefer dive bezels to chronographs as I tend to time events under an hour, but often more than 30 minutes. And so chronographs aren't really great at doing that because they typically give you a 30-minute chronograph register before it doubles up and starts the 30 minutes again. Advantage dive bezel. Also advantage dive bezel. Easier to read at a glance. Also advantage dive bezel, you don't have the downstream service costs of a chronograph. Now we have an all-applied index dial, so this is distinct from Panerai's printed dials and sandwich dials. You have these luxurious applied indices that rise proud of the dial base. We have a couple of features here. Watch the small seconds. We've got stop seconds with a 0 reset feature, so you can set the watch precisely against a reference time. We've also got an hour hand. Note the watch is still ticking, still running. This is a mobile hour hand that allows me to travel and jump time zones, and regardless of which way I'm heading across the international date line, I can jump the date in that direction. We also have a power reserve indicator with twin mainspring barrels. This watch has a 3-day power reserve. Flip it all over, you can see it is water resistant down to 300 meters, a true dive watch. This is Panerai exclusive caliber 9002 twin barrels to even out the torque curve and ensure more constant force to the escapement. It beats sway at 4 hertz and it's free sprung for durability. It pivots, as you can see, on 29 joules. And although the decoration is industrial, it's designed to echo the finish that you would have seen on the Rolex Codebert and later Angelus SF240 pocket watch movements that were employed on traditional Panerai watches. And then, of course, we have a combination of unlubricated high-efficiency ceramic rotor bearings, and Panerai opted for a bidirectional winding system on its first family of in-house calibers because it didn't want the unidirectional wobble of a 7750 to confuse people. There's a lot to love in this movement. And again, you can see individual numbering in a series of 1000. The case back is made of titanium. The watch is made of bronze, and while it does patina, don't be deceived by some of the extreme cases you see online. When worn conventionally, it ages like this. Keep in mind, this is now an 11-year-old watch. This is the patina you can expect. Don't expect it to turn green like the Statue of Liberty or crusted like the deck of the Titanic. It's going to look like this over time. And of course, you can see right here, we have a strap held on by screws and bars. This is the old school way of fixing straps at Panerai. And if you are a Paneristo, you probably already have the tools at home to start removing these straps and fitting your surrogates. No company in existence has more OEM and aftermarket strap options, including full custom, than Panerai. Provided you get the lug spacing, 26 millimeters, correct, you will never run out of options to accessorize. And again, newer Panerai watches using spring bars are cheaper to make, but this is a more secure system, and it's the one like this that you want on your Luminor. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And if you have any questions about the buckle or the strap, here's the buckle, satin finished titanium, and here's the strap, calfskin, contrasting stitch, sheer cut side, rustic, minimally finished, quite thick and luxurious, and then on the bottom you can see a brand new Panerai factory strap, calfskin on both sides.